Welcome to Veterinary. In this video, we are going to talk about anatomy of heart. So this is going to be a three-part series. So in this first part, we'll talk about the external anatomy, or we can say the topography of heart. Okay, so let us first start with the position. So it is situated at the ventral half of the middle mediastinum with the base upwards and apex downwards. Okay, so what do you mean by middle mediastinum? Mediastinum is the space in between the two lungs. So this is the wall of the thoracic cavity. We have our two lungs, and the space in between is called the mediastinum. Okay, so when you are looking at it from the side, or you can say laterally, what you will see, this is the dorsal side, the ventral side, this is the cranial part, this is the caudal part, and this in the middle is called middle mediastinum. So heart is situated at the ventral half of the middle mediastinum, and the base, which means the atriums. Okay, so base means the broader end, it is formed by the atrium, while the apex is formed by the ventricle, it is the pointy end. Okay, so apex is downwards, or we can say located ventrally, while base is located dorsally. Okay, plus the base is somewhat tilted towards the cranial side, while the apex is tilted towards the caudal side facing the diaphragm. Then the base extends from third to sixth rib. This is very, very important. Okay, so the location of the base is from third to sixth rib, and it is placed 10 to 12 centimeter below the spine. Then apex is opposite to the sixth chondrosternal joint. Okay, opposite to the sixth chondrosternal joint and close to the diaphragm. A quite significant portion of the heart lies on the left side and in the cardiac notch of the left lung. So where is heart situated? It is situated, or we can say it is tilted towards the left side in the cardiac notch of the left lung. One thing that I want to clear here, that in case of humans, we say left heart is in the left side, right heart is in the right side. So basically, if this is the heart and these are the chambers, so the left atrium is left, right atrium is right to the left atrium, right? But in case of animals, this is not true. Okay, so in case of animals, the right part, or we can say the right atrium and right ventricle, they are actually ventral. Okay, and left ones are dorsally located. So here in this picture, you can see this is the right atrium, right? And this is the ventral side of the animal. So it is situated ventrally. Then left ventricle is situated dorsally. Okay, so this is the meaning of left and right in case of animals. Then let us come to the external surfaces and the borders. So the heart presents two surfaces, two borders, a base and an apex. Then the anterior or the cranial border, it is convex, and ventrally it is parallel to the sternum, while the posterior or caudal border is almost vertical and correspond to the anterior border of the sixth rib. Very important point. Okay, so you can see this is the posterior border. It is almost vertical, not quite, but almost vertical, while this is the cranial border. It is quite convex and almost parallel to the sternum. Then we have the two surfaces, the left surface, which is called the auricular surface, and the right surface, which is called the atrial surface. Why? Because the auricular, or we can say the auricle part of the atrium is situated on the left side. Okay, so that surface is called auricular surface, while the right surface is called atrial surface, and both the surfaces are convex. Then a transverse groove encircles the heart at its base. Okay, and it demarcates the separation between atrium and the ventricle. Two longitudinal grooves, one right and in one left, extend from the base of the ventricles and run towards the apex. They become continuous with each other a little above apex. Intermediate longitudinal groove descends from transverse groove along posterior border of the heart, and longitudinal grooves mark the margin of the interventricular system. Actually, this is not system, it should be septum. Okay, so what is happening here? See, this is the diagram. This is the caudal side. This portion is the base. This is the apex. So there's a transverse groove marking the separation between the atrium part and the ventricle part. Okay. Then there's a longitudinal groove Right here, this is the right view. So we have the right longitudinal groove, and just opposite to this, there will be a left longitudinal groove. Okay, and both will meet. Now, know one thing, that in case of human, the position or the location of all these blood vessels of the heart, they are quite fixed, right? But in case of animal, there's a lot of variation between species and between individuals as well. Okay, so it is not very much practical to remember all the locations, but you should know just this simple thing, that there's a transverse groove. So there will be an artery passing through it. It is called the right coronary artery. So the groove is for the passage of the artery. Okay, then there's the longitudinal groove, and there will be some branches of the coronary arteries there. Okay, what are coronary arteries? They are arteries supplying the blood to the heart. Okay, so heart, though it pumps the blood to the body, but it itself needs blood for its function, right? It also needs oxygen and nutrients. So the system or the blood vessels which provide blood to the heart, they are called coronary arteries. And you have to remember the general position of these arteries. Okay, then we have the coverings of the heart. So heart is covered by a lot of layers. They are called pericardium, which is the outermost layer. Okay, and it has two parts, a parietal part and a visceral part. So parietal part is basically the outer part which we see. It has outer fibrous layer and inner serous layer. And the visceral pericardium is called the epicardium. Okay, so epicardium is basically the first layer of the heart. So when we say what are the layers of the heart, we say we have epicardium, we have myocardium, we have endocardium, right? So epicardium is actually just the visceral layer of the pericardium. Okay, and pericardium itself has two layers, parietal and visceral. Parietal is separated into outer fibrous and inner serous. And between the two layers, okay, so which two layers? Parietal and visceral. There's a space called pericardial space, and it is filled with liquor pericardiae, or we can say pericardial fluid. Then pericardium is attached to the dorsal surface of the sternum by left and right pericardiaco-sternal ligament. In case of dog, there's a third ligament which is called pericardiaco-phrenic ligament. Okay, and it will basically attach the apex of the ventricle to the diaphragm. So this is all about the coverings of the heart, the external surfaces of the heart. Then we'll come to the skeleton of the heart. So there's a fibrous framework which forms the tough ring around the orifices of the heart. And this is called the skeleton of the heart, or we can say fibrous skeleton of the heart. There's also another name called annuli fibrosi. Okay, so in the heart there are a lot of orifices. Okay, so opening for the vena cava, opening for the aorta, opening for the pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. And these openings, they're basically supported by fibrocartilage, and this fibrocartilage is called annuli fibrosi, or we can say the skeleton of the heart. Okay, in case of some species, especially common in case of cattle, these fibrocartilageous structures, they form bone, and this bone is called os cordis. Very, very important from an exam point of view. Os cordis is present in which species? Cattle. They are also present in other species, but they are common in case of cattle. So what is os cordis? They are two small triangular visceral bones. Okay, so they are examples of visceral bones present at the base of the ventricles on either side of the aortic ring, found in domestic ruminants like cattle and buffalo. Then wall of the heart. So as I said, heart has three layers which form its wall. We have epicardium, which is actually just the visceral layer of the pericardium. Then we have myocardium, which is the actual muscular layer which is responsible for the function of the heart. It has cardiac muscle. And then we have endocardium, which is basically the endothelial membrane of the heart. Okay, so this is all about the external structure of the heart. I hope you like this video. If so, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and if you haven't, then subscribe to my channel. Thank you.